We're live.
Joe, did you have to go to the Cairo right after your accident?
No, I was scheduled to go anyway today, but I went Thursday, I think. And then he told me to come back next week sometime, so I was a little sore, so I figured I might as well go.
Sure.
Not bad though.
That's what we call postman law right away.
Yeah. Ask Gary.
Or Nicolette. Oh, goodness.
Call to order the work session on February 23rd. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Kate.
Mayor Vogel,
Here.
Councilmember Robinson,
Here.
Ludwig. Here. Mulebauer.
Here.
On to the agenda items. Chief?
Mayor Council, as in your packets, you can see we have Lieutenant Mendoza with the North County Sheriff's Office here today. Their office is in the process of implementing a real-time crime center, otherwise known as the Anoka Regional Crime Technology and Information Center. This project is set to include use of automated license plate reader cameras, strategically placed live view cameras, drones and first responder technology, or DFR, and some other types of technology, all part of a Safe County initiative. So we've been meeting with the lieutenant here and then some other sheriff's office representatives over the last several months. And they've been keeping us updated with their goals and their progress on this project. And Lieutenant Mendoza, I'll hand it over to him. Tell you a little more about this project and then answer any questions that you might have at the end of it.
In a minute.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Mayor, council members. I am Anthony Mendoza, I'm the lieutenant that oversees patrol operations for the Anoka County Sheriff's Office. A little bit of background about me. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 21 years. I have been.
Yep, that should be red.
It's green now.
Stop touching buttons.
I hear that on the
Pretty good.
Okay.
Not red yet.
I can be loud.
There you go.
Well, there you go. As easy as pushing another button.
There you go.
I currently, like I said, oversee the patrol operations for the sheriff's office. I'm one of the mobile field force command staff, and I'm also the assistant commander for the Anoka County SWAT team, which is another regional asset for the county. The reason why we're here today is we, as a sheriff's office, and I'll speak on behalf of the Emergency Communications Center dispatch, we saw that there's a rapidly growing opportunity to utilize existing and newly developing technology to assist in first responder calls for service, as well as investigations after a call for service. And so today I wanted to give you a little bit of a brief overview of what we're looking at, but I also wanted to dispel any kind of rumors, address any public safety privacy concerns that you may have, and get out in front of it before any misinformation is out there. So the project overview, like the chief said, ALPRs, automated license plate reader cameras. live view cameras, drone as first responder or DFR, and another assistive technologies that are part of this project. First things first is the automated license plate reader cameras. There are two main players in this field. There's Axon, which makes body cameras and tasers and squad cameras and everything. And the other one is Flock Safety. And this particular project is currently using the Flock Safety platforms. There's been mixed reviews in the media about them, but again, I want to dispel some rumors and why we're still moving forward with this company. So what an ALPR is it's a stationary camera that takes still photographs of the rear of a license plate. It does not capture the front of the place. We're not using any kind of facial recognition. All it does is it takes a rear picture of the plate of the vehicle, make, model, and license plate. The algorithm that's built into their software then corresponds that license plate to the BCA's hot files list that the BCA uploads to Flock every 6 hours. If the plate is not on that list, there is no notification to law enforcement at all. It just takes the picture, and in 30 days, due to data retention laws, it's gone. It's deleted. It is still there for 30 days if there is a reason to search for that vehicle. Investigators can go back and they can look at it, but there is no notification to law enforcement that this vehicle passed a camera. So the algorithm compares the characters to the plate on the hot list, and then it is they notify us if there's a hit. And so what a hit is, every 6 hours it's updated. Commercial vehicle license is revoked. Canadian Police Information Center alerts. We currently have that turned off because in 21 years, I've never had a Canadian Police Information Center alert. Have you ever seen that, Chief? Nobody I've talked to has ever seen that, so we just turned it off. Disqualified drivers. So if somebody's medical doctor revokes their privileges, they become a disqualified person. Extreme risk protection order, very new. Never seen a hit come across on it. It's just one of the things that are alerted to in the NCIC database. Group member capability, or that could be gang member, foreign terrorist organization member, some other member of a protected of a suspected criminal organization. We don't have a whole lot of Cosa Nostra here in Minnesota, but that could be somebody that gets put in there as well. More importantly, COPS alerts. Keep our police safe is what the acronym stands for. If one of the St. Francis cars puts out a COPS alert for somebody that is armed and potentially either suicidal, homicidal, or they're a threat to public safety, or they're wanted for domestic, or whatever the public safety reason is that we're going to put an alert to try to find somebody, after 6 hours or within that next refresh window, it'll come on to the system and it'll notify us. Obviously, warrants, missing persons, non-compliant sexual offenders, protection orders, whether they're served or not served, driver's license status, stolen vehicle, stolen license plate, violent person alerts, don't get those very often, and probably the most important one is Amber alerts. So those are the hot list items that are updated by the BCA to both Flock, Axon, and any other ALPR provider that is authorized to work and provide services in the state of Minnesota. In order to do that, they have to go through a vetting process from the BCA. The BCA has to say, yep, you have enough safeguards in place that your data is not going to be released, and they allow them to conduct business here. What they do not do, what the cameras do not do, is they do not openly search information. So if your plate runs by a camera, your private information isn't searched. If your license plate shows up on the hot list, that is the only time that we will get an alert for that. Does that make sense? They're not running license plates, they're not running driver's licenses and stuff like that. Is if you're the registered owner, then the license plate and your license is suspended, that's the alert that would come through. There is no facial recognition technology. There is no direct access to criminal justice information system. That is, I hate to keep repeating it. It's a spreadsheet that is uploaded to Flock and Axon and all these other companies. That's cross-referenced with the image or the plate and the characters. There is no personal identifiable data that comes across the system. Each officer will still have to run a plate independently once they've located the vehicle to verify the status. ABC 123 might be a stolen plate or a stolen vehicle out of Wisconsin. If there's a mistake in the read of the state of the plate, it may trigger a response saying, hey, this vehicle could be stolen. You come up behind it, the stolen vehicle alert will clearly say it's a Minnesota plate. And if you see a Wisconsin plate, there's the difference. So that's why each officer must still independently verify the hit. They also verify the validity of the hit before taking any action, matching vehicle characteristics, and et cetera. If the plates do not match anything on the hot list, the photo remains in the system for 30 days and then is automatically deleted. There's no manual deletion that is required. It's just an automatic retention period and it deletes. If within that 30 days, there's a need for an investigator to find out where this person's been, kind of establish a pattern of life or anything like that, the law and the office will require a search warrant to be executed to access that data. So that's the extra layer of protection on the privacy front. There are concerns about data retention being brought up around the country. The concerns are valid, and there are several safeguards in place in Minnesota. Minnesota stopped nationwide searching capabilities. There's no longer can an agency from outside of Minnesota search a vehicle and get a Minnesota hit unless that vehicle is a Minnesota vehicle in their state on their cameras, if that makes sense. They won't get any returns from Minnesota. They'll get them if they're in their state. Like I had mentioned, if they're trying to establish a pattern in life or track a suspect down, they will need to provide us with a signed judicial search warrant from the 10th district. So on this next slide, I wanted to kind of show you what an alert looks like to the officers in their car. Initially, they'll get a blink or a ding inside their squad car. And on the left there, it'll show you, it says that plate revoked. As you can see on all of these photos, there is no personal identifying information. The first one says the justification for the hit, it's revoked. The second one shows the camera or the device which it was located on and the estimated location where that camera is. The third one shows you a picture of the vehicle. As you can see, it's the rear of the vehicle. If you're not clicking into those specific alerts, the one on the far right one, that shows you the hits from the different cameras that keep coming through. That's it. And so the officer, if they're in the area of the alert, they can attempt to locate that person and then take enforcement action if they see fit. For searching, these are some more safeguards to make sure that we are properly tracking and people aren't misusing the system. So on the left side of the photo, there has to be a specific offense type. There has to be a violation of criminal law, or there has to be civil process that needs to be served on somebody. So if the sheriff's office is going to serve a harassment restraining order or order for protection on somebody, they may use this to try to find the vehicle. There has to be an associated case number. This cannot be just a random search. You have to have a case number that is generated by emergency communications to search. And then there's the justification again. So you have the offense type, the case number, and the justification. If you do not have those three, you will not be able to search. They're prevented. These are required fields before a search can be performed. Vehicle details, license plate. Otherwise, there's a vehicle fingerprint. You can enter the body style, the make, the color, the identifying characteristics of the vehicle, if that's all the victim has to go on, and you can help establish potential suspects. But there is no, as you can see, these are the search spans. There's no way to look for a white male walking down Bridge Street. That is not even a possibility of a search. What you can do is you can search for a red jacket or a black backpack moving down Bridge Street. You cannot put the specific characteristics of the person. You can do object recognition. And that depends if you have a camera in that location and the person was picked up by the camera. Any questions on ALPR before I move on to the drones?
I know I do. I don't. Go ahead. Did you want to go?
Well, I was
first?
just curious. So I think the biggest concern with a lot of people and one thing I don't understand relevant to this situation, you've already dispelled that myth, but like in Minneapolis, I think they're doing the speed cameras now
Mhm.
again, which confused the hell out of me. I thought those Arizona companies that were doing it, it was ruled unconstitutional because somebody else could be driving the car type of thing, yet now they're doing it again, which blows my mind. These at any point, they just don't do that.
No, they do not have the capability of registering speed or anything like that.
Could they be used for that in the future?
No,
Okay,
there's no metric to which you could measure the person's speed.
that's about the only question on the cameras that I had.
Sir?
I didn't have any.
Kevin?
Nothing at this time.
I got several, so just so I think I understand it correctly.
Absolutely.
Let's just say somebody had a medical that they shouldn't be driving a car. And it dings them. It's not issuing them a ticket there. 'Cause
Nope.
no.
It's alerting the officers in the area, and St. Francis cars, if this project goes through, if St. Francis cars are not going to care about what's going on in Fridley, Columbia Heights, or any of those cities, they can turn those alerts off. They can say, I only want to know about the things that are happening in Oak Grove, Now Then, and St. Francis. If they're in that position to take action on something that might be coming around, they can turn all the rest of them off.
So those matrices are controlled by our PD?
By the individual officer on what they want to know.
Okay.
I don't know why they would want to get alerts from Columbia Heights and Fridley.
Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, they go off a lot. Most of the guys, even the guys that are working in the startup of the center, have a lot of them turned off because you get alerts off of 87 cameras already. It's just not feasible.
Then you referenced it. I think I know the answer kind of to this on a search warrant.
Mhm.
If they're just looking for witnesses to something, do they have to get a search? So they're trying to find something happened over here on 47 or wherever, and they're trying to locate witnesses. Can they use this to access witnesses?
It'd be really hard to find any way to search that specific reason, because in order to do that, you would have to drill down to that camera and then search a time frame through that camera, and then you'd have to go individually by every single car. I guess it could possibly be done, but that is a very labor intensive task.
But
And
it's-
so just blindly searching the database, I think that would probably require a search warrant.
I was wondering.
That's honestly, out of all of these I've done, that's the first time I've heard that, and that's a good question. But I think I would lean towards that's a search warrant
Okay.
justification.
And then on this just has to go down with maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing here. And is St. Francis opting into this? Is that correct? As a city, we're opting in? Or is
So
this-
I'll cover the whole project here
All right.
once I cover some of the other,
Okay,
if that's all
Fair
right.
enough. Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
That's really all I got right now.
I do have one more
Go ahead,
question.
Sure.
For these cameras, do you have an idea or like a map set out to the location and
Yes, and I'll be honest with you, all of them are directed by calls for service. We went back 3 years to look at calls for service and types. There's not a lot in St. Francis. The benefit to St. Francis is the next part that I'm going to talk about. The true like meat and potatoes of the project. So,
That's all I have.
all right. So the next part I'm going to talk about is drones. UAS. We have a UAS program. You have a UAS program. The drones are really what's going to benefit the city of St. Francis and your citizens. So in 2024, there were 708 total UAS flights in the county. That might not seem like a lot, but that is just over 2 a day. And I can tell you that a lot of them are flown, but from the sheriff's office, because we travel all over the county to fly for other agencies. 2025's numbers are still being reported, so I can't get you the accurate number in 25, but I can tell you that they're higher. All right, what is a drone as first responder? It's a resource to able to put eyes on scene before the first responders arrive. It allows for a faster arrival of resources, typically within 90 seconds from launch. For law enforcement, we get a faster response to the scene of the crime, where if somebody is fleeing from a location after a crime, or there's an evidence that is dissipating based on, it could be a myriad of different things, but we have eyes with a camera on scene typically within 90 seconds. Help locating missing persons. We have located a lot of people, whether they're missing or a fugitive, or a person that's running from a scene, utilizing drones. You guys have the drones. I know you guys have been successful with yours as well. The location of missing persons is one of the highest reasons why I want to have a DFR. We have a lot of issues with group homes. We have those that are mentally handicapped, if you will. I apologize if I'm not saying the correct verbiage, but you have those with autism that typically, based on the training that we go through, tend to be attracted to water. The faster we can get eyes on where that person may be, the more lives we can potentially save. Officer needs assistance calls. St. Francis is one of the smaller agencies within the county and tend to have less backup available. If one of your officers calls for emergency assistance, we can launch that drone and have eyes on and provide real-time information to the responding officers without having the officer have to error all of that information. And then this one is depends on the location and the speed, but potential assistance during pursuits. We've seen other cities around the country that have a little bit more clustered amount of drones, and they are able to monitor pursuits and have the squads back off a little bit more easily. But that's all dependent on the location and the speeds of the pursuit. For fire, this is the one that I'll touch on a few times here. Again, faster response time to scenes for information. Obviously, they're not going to make a fire truck get there faster. Hotspot detection using onboard FLIR and thermal. There's a couple images I'll show you here in a little bit, including the SWAT call out we had in at the end of last year. The hotspot and the thermal imaging that comes off these drones is amazing. And investigations have been helped with this, but it also provides information to the fire personnel on scene. It can provide wind and weather information regarding spread of the fire, and they can staff up or down faster when they get that information in real time. Now, that doesn't necessarily help law enforcement when there's a grass fire, but dispatch will be able to fly these and be able to monitor and give that information to your fire department in real time, and they can make those staffing decisions instead of just going off a straight box drill and saying, yep, okay, this is the type of call, we're gonna have to up staff or down staff. It makes it easier and a more informed response for your chiefs. EMS, obviously crash information and approach and evac routes, and then emergency management. Damage assessments during natural disasters, faster information for response, for resource requests. And then there's more. I didn't touch on this, but part of the package that we're looking at for ALPR, it does have some traffic analytics. So if there are questions based on where the cameras are, the traffic flow and how we're seeing, we can provide a lot of that information for your public works if it's requested. Okay. All right. Docks. A drone dock is a self-contained base station that stores, charges, and launches these drones at the command of a remote pilot. And that's the key thing is they will not fly by themselves. They'll be prompted to dispatch or the real-time crime center, depending on who's working at the time. This is the type of call, do you want to launch a drone? There has to be a human being that says, yes, we're going to launch this drone, and they have to take command of that aircraft. They will autonomously launch, fly to the scene, and hover. If no one takes control, it goes back to the dock and it lands. I know this is going to be some privacy concerns, so I want to make this abundantly clear. It goes up, the camera focuses on the horizon. There is no downward facing camera that tracks where it's going. It's a horizon facing because it has to avoid and detect and avoid animals, airplanes, everything like that. It flies to the coordinates of the call and it hovers until there's a person that takes control of that aircraft. So the dock is a rugged, environmentally sealed enclosure that houses the drone. When the drone lands back on the dock, it's contact charging or it's a battery swap, depending on what drone that we put out. There's a couple different ones that are included in this package, but this one up here would likely be a contact charging. So as soon as it lands, within 20 minutes, a fully charged battery, and off you go again if there's another call for service. Autonomously launches the drone at the command of the pilot. Again, then it closes the lid so the weather stays out of it. And then the dock typically are staged on rooftops at key locations across the county. If we go forward with this, I think the police department's probably the best location for it. Secure and it covers a good majority of your city. Couple of different drone options that we currently have access to that are part of this are the Flock Alpha and the Matrice. They're industrial grade drones designed for public safety, typically have a 40 to 50-minute flight time, can have a flight speed of about 45 miles an hour and have a 3 to 4 mile radius depending on the type of the drone, which covers a good chunk of your property, or of your city. Obviously, out by Northrop Grumman, we're not going to be able to fly. There's TFRs and stuff like that in place for that. So the majority of your populated area will be able to be covered by a single drone. Telephoto camera lens capable of detailed close-up checks of incidents. And then obviously the thermal camera, which will provide a multitude of benefits to both law enforcement, fire, EMS, and emergency management. This is a little bit more centered for the south end of the county. Part of this project does include 3 radars that are going to be required around the Blaine Anoka County Airport. Again, you're far enough out of their airspace that the altitude flight does not affect the Blaine Airport from here. This is an image of the proposed docking station locations. There's 8 of them. It covers from Columbia Heights all the way up into Ham Lake, Andover, Ramsey, and all the way over to Lino Lakes, and covers the Centennial Lakes Police Department area. And then obviously we would have one stationed up here to cover your city. This covers about 90% of all residents in the county that are serviced by a police department. The sheriff's office patrol area typically will take the hit on this one because we're more rural, and and this is based on calls for service. That's the basic plan for it. There are plans for future expansion, grants that we can potentially apply for to expand our patrol area coverage, but this is what we're proposing to with the current plan. Some of the technology that's going to be included, Flock operating system premium subscription, which will allow us to have full control of the ALPR cameras, the live view cameras, the DFR cameras. Flock 911, this is a program that will allow the officers in the cars to hear live 911 calls for their area. So if there's a 911 call that comes in and it's in St. Francis, the dispatchers can push it out to the car and they can hear the change in tone of inflection of a victim that's trying to talk, see if things are escalating, if they're de-escalating, if they're giving information about a suspect that's fled the scene and they're still coming into the area. They can have that information in real time instead of having the delay of the call taker, adding it to the notes, the channel 7 dispatcher acknowledging the notes and then putting it out over the air. It might only take 10 or 15 seconds for that to happen, but in that time, the officer could have already passed the suspect. So obviously it's a benefit for the officer to hear that. They don't always have to hear it. There is an option to not listen to that. But that Flock 911 will also trigger the prompting for the DFRs to be launched. So they hear certain criteria in there and it'll prompt the pilots to either accept the mission or decline the mission. Flock Safety Gateway, similar to another system that we have Axon Fusus, which is a real-time crime center software that the sheriff's office is currently using. The gateway from Flock Safety is very similar to their devices that we have put onto third-party systems. For instance, we have Axon cores on the city of Andover, city of Anoka, internal camera systems. So we have live access to their cameras to be able to see with live ongoing incidents. The dispatch has that information as well, so they are able to provide those live updates as well. Freeform allows you to specialize search engine for the real-time crime center. It's basically a Google search for all of the cameras and drones and everything that we need to do. Additional technology that's included is a traffic analytics package. Utilizing Flock cameras, the technology can provide real-time actionable data on traffic volumes, speed trends, which does not, it's very subjective. It looks like the vehicle is going fast is basically about what it's going to tell you. You're going to be able to see if vehicles are moving fast on the camera or slow. There is no radar. There's no way to tell you what the speed is. You guys use speed signs? Comparing some of that data can be brought into the system, and it can be used to help give you a better, a larger picture of what's going on in your city. Not that you don't already know. The Nova is a comprehensive data integration platform that connects all of our disparate technology systems. So our CAD, our RMS, our VMS, our jail management system, our inmate tracking system, all of that stuff can be pulled in to allow for investigations to have a little bit ready access to that information. It's all information that's already shared amongst the county. It just gives you that faster integration instead of logging into all these disparate systems. It'll allow you to get that at one location. Any questions on DFR or the technology before I move forward into the next part?
I don't know if this is for the next part or this part. So it's same situation though.
Yep.
You say the drone somebody hits the button, the drone launches.
Yep.
Flies on the horizon oversight, then I assume the camera goes down at that point, does the camera point down?
Not until somebody takes control of the aircraft.
Okay, and that's your dispatcher back at,
Either dispatch or somebody that's working in the Arctic.
okay, and then let's just say it's a suspicious fire, whatever else. And now they can go, do they have to get a search warrant there was a vehicle over here like this and.
Well, you're not going to see any identifying information from above when it comes to vehicles unless you're at the right angle and it can get the plate from that distance. That's all part of the initial investigation. That information can be provided to the investigator to get more information or to track their whereabouts. Then they have to get the search warrant to say, okay, where did this person go? If the vehicle's on site and we have the plate, that's not a problem.
It's evidence at that point.
Yep.
Right?
It's continuing on to track that person or establish a pattern of life. And there's only 11 reasons to fly in the state of Minnesota. There's only 11 exceptions to the search warrant requirement. And if it doesn't meet one of those 11 exemptions that are laid out in state statute, it cannot fly. So all of those statutory restrictions will be built into the system. And if it doesn't meet it, we had one city council member that was concerned. He's like, well, if they have a revoked commercial driver's license, are you going to launch on that? I said, no, it's illegal. You just can't. If it's a stolen vehicle, yeah, that's a felony in progress. We can launch on that. But license status violations and protection orders and stuff like that, you can't fly on that stuff. So it has to be a crime or a life-saving incident basically to be able to fly that.
And kind of different question, same thing though. When it's flying and the operator can see, they can send that to the St. Francis squads or they can send it to the fire
Yes.
department trucks so they can
Yep.
actually see that they're the ones seeing it, or is the dispatcher seeing it?
Both.
Okay. Okay.
When in Flock OS, there is the ability for the officers, the supervisors, the chiefs, whatever, to have access to seeing that in real time.
Okay.
And they log in under their, do you guys have computers in the fire rigs?
I don't know if we do enough fire.
Not sure. Not either.
Okay. Well, if it's a computer with internet access, they can get on it. And that information will be pushed from dispatch out and they can view the live drone footage.
So it's a website, not an app necessarily.
Correct. And that's the downside to everything now in law enforcement. Everything's a subscription. You can't just buy a taser. You got to buy a subscription to the taser.
Yeah, it drives me nuts, but
You and me
if
both.
nowadays.
So, but yes, that's all able to be viewed in real time by supervisors, or the firefighters that are en route.
Kevin, Sarah again?
Nothing for me.
Joe?
A little bit of overlap with Mayor Vogel here. So you get the call, it goes to the area by itself, pretty much.
It will autonomously, it can autonomously fly to the GPS coordinates that are given on the 911 call.
For the dispatchers trained in flying, like, can you fly it manually if you need to?
No, these drones are mouse and keyboard flight. And so, yes, the dispatchers can fly it. They can't right now because you have to have several different licenses. And once this program gets approved, they will get, the ones that are going to be assigned to work this will get those licenses along with everybody that will be working in the Arctic.
Okay.
And that's all regulated by the FAA. But yes, there is a potential that you could go to the dock, manually remove the controller, which is screwed into the back and everything, and fly it manually. But it's all controlled by mouse and keyboard through the system.
Okay.
And I will say one thing, this one's come up with a couple other city councils. You guys currently have trunk deployed drones. I would keep them.
Right.
This doesn't take over those roles. They're still a huge benefit to your PD and the community. I would not get rid of those drones. I would continue to use them. The sheriff's office is still going to have all of our aircraft, and we're going to continue to invest in that. This is a first responder drone. If it's a longer, prolonged call, we'll switch to the trunk deploys.
That answers one of my other questions too, so that makes sense. And then, so I guess, I don't know if you want to take me through, this is backtracking a little bit, but
Absolutely.
the cameras, the flock cameras,
Yep.
they get pinged and then you just dispatch whoever's closest pretty much. If you were to like, take me through that scenario.
Sure. Alerts come through all the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that the officers or the deputies are taking action on all of them.
Okay.
We still have discretion. And so if it's a suspended driver and it's out on Sugar Bush and your officers here at the PD or over on the east side of the city, I would never expect them to rush across the city to find a suspended driver or even a stolen vehicle. If it's a homicide suspect, sure, I'd expect them to start heading that way. It falls down to discretion. So they're not going to be dispatched to these traffic related violations. It's going to give them information to see how they can stay proactive in your city. It's going to give your investigators information of who may be in the area during certain crimes. If the victim of the crime said, "Hey, I saw this black pickup truck driving around for the last 3 days and now my car got broken into and my neighbor's car got broken into," that might be something for your investigators to look into, to find that black pickup truck that was in that area, if there's cameras in that area. And once they identify it, then they can start working back to identify that person. So the flock cameras are a great tool, and that's what they were actually designed for HOAs. So they would have the HOAs buy the cameras and provide the information to the police departments. They've evolved to say, hey, it's actually, they still serve HOAs, apartment complexes, large scale businesses, all sorts of stuff, but they also sell to law enforcement. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, yeah. Last question is more administrative, not necessarily you. Looking at first, you see the annual price tag after the first couple of years goes up quite a bit. For the county or the cities involved in it, it's 1.772 million. Our city listed here is roughly $11,000, just under that. Given we're kind of nickel and diamond to try to get our levy down, is it in the budget or in a police budget, or where would this necessarily, who's funding it?
Yep. So if I can cover that here in the next part, I'd
If you don't,
gladly
hey,
do that for you.
let's do it.
All right.
I have one question
Sure,
before you go further. This is nothing new. I'm sure there's other municipalities already enacted this or created this type of network.
Mhm.
Have you seen, what can you share with us the pluses or minuses that you've seen so far? Because obviously you've done a ton of homework here and you've seen the good and the bad.
Yep. So many of the cities, many of the agencies throughout the county have already deployed flock cameras. There are 19 other municipalities throughout the country that have gone with the Safe City package. It's a very new package. We would be the first county. We're unique because of all of the other systems that we share. The benefit to that is there's less to integrate. We have one central record system. We have one CAD system. We have, it's very uniform across the county. The downside is technology is expensive. But the benefit of having the information and being able to assist in the solving of cases and the the speed at which some of this information can be handled is where the benefit comes in. Flock will never say that, and I will never say that it's going to save you officers, because it's not, that's not what this system is designed for. It's to make them more effective and to be more effective in their policing. So the downside is obviously going to be the cost. The upside is all about the return on investment for the community, and that's going to be the increased safety for wandering individuals. If you have population that tends to walk away or run away from home, whether it's a juvenile or an elderly person, having a drone up, getting that information faster is going to locate them faster, which will reduce that risk. But the biggest hurdle is going to be the price. And that's why I'm out talking to everybody and trying to show the benefits of the price. So
Of the 19 networks out there, would Anoka County be the only one in the state of Minnesota that would have this?
yes, we will be the first one in Minnesota to have a safe county from Flock. They have DeKalb County it's deceiving. DeKalb County is a police department, but it's a county. It's kind of weird. They do things different on the East Coast. Hamilton County in Indiana is about as close to a representation of what Anoka County is between the urban and the rural as you can get out there. They haven't deployed their system yet, but they are in conversation. They're in the same point that we are in this conversation. So it's really good. It's a really close match to what they're just going to pay double what we are, because they're adding so much more technology, so many more cameras and everything. For this, we wanted to remain effective, but we didn't want to go and say we want to cover everything in the county with cameras and drones and everything, because it's not realistic. The price point would be it would be a non-starter. And so what we did was we looked at realistically what the county as a whole would need, and we even trimmed some from that. Mainly the patrol area for the sheriff's office. We didn't trim it all, but we trimmed down some of what was recommended for us. So I hope that answers your question.
Aside from corporate presentations, have you been to an actual,
Yes.
gone to a location where they're using this, or a county or an law
Several.
enforcement?
I've been to several of them. I've been to a lot of them around Atlanta. This kind of really originated out of the Atlanta area. It's amazing. Some of the infrastructure that's been put into some of these locations. Of course, right now I'm drawing a blank on the city, but there was one police department that had 8 people working in it 24/7. That's not our goal. Our goal is to hopefully staff 10 hours a day in the Arctic and 24 hours a day with dispatch, and then grow from there. But the amount of information that can be pushed out to the squads to make them safer before they even arrive on scene is immense. But right now we lack the technology to be able to provide that to our officers or our firefighters or the medics or any of the first responders that are out there. So
Okay. Thank you very much.
I got another question here. Given the launch parameters that you
Mhm.
discussed here, how many times in the last year would it have launched from St. Francis?
it's a great question. I would say you're probably looking, it's gonna be hard to say. I would assume that you're gonna be actually a little bit busier of a drone site than some of the other ones, because you have the schools, you have 47, which is a fairly major thoroughfare for up here, but it doesn't just cover the city of St. Francis. It also covers down into Oak Grove. It covers, it could even cover over into Bethel. And so I would say you're seeing flights every day. You're not going to see it stand still for days on end. It'll fly every day. 911 open lines. There's no reason we can't have a drone on site over 911 open lines. I mean, we get a lot of those. We're not going to launch for burglaries or burglar alarms, but if it's a verified burglary, there's no reason why we can't fly that. That's a felony in progress. So there's a lot of different, you'll fly for a little bit more up here than you will for some of the drones down in the southern part, because you're going to see different types of calls for service. And that's the big thing. So it's hard to say a number, but you're going to see it flying a lot, or hopefully you don't see it a lot, but it'll be flying a lot,
But your best guess is one a day is just wild.
if not
guess.
more.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And being strategically located at the PD, there is a facility nearby that gets a lot of attention from the sheriff's office that would also be seeing that. And unfortunately, some of the results of those people fleeing said location turn into crimes in St. Francis.
Mhm.
So the benefit would be stopping them from getting to St. Francis and being brought back to the facility. So it's not a direct benefit to the city of San Francisco, but it is,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So, all right. Axon is still going to be used. We use that for a few other things. The Flock Safe County is slated to be an ACSO purchase for the first 2 years. They want us to join their program. They want us to be the first, so that's why they're giving us such good incentives up front. The first 12 months will be a zero cost to the sheriff's office. The second 12 months will be a $245,000 to the sheriff's office. That'll be paid for out of the patrol division's budget. From years 3 to 10, we would hope that we can bring it to JLEC to fund it similar to the PSDS system using the super formula. The reason why is because the usage would match up very well with the cost formula that the PSDS system uses. That's if you're not familiar with it, it's a 5-year rolling average of calls for service, and then it's broken down by percentages from there. Dispatch still takes 60.58% of the cost. It's county budget. That's why the county will be taking the majority of it. 5% would still be the sheriff's office. That's based on the current 5-year rolling average, and then everything else would be broken down by the super formula. That would include 200 cameras countywide, 12 community partner cameras. So if what those are is you're going to have, you see the trailers that have the red and blue flashing lights up there. It's a little bit different. It's a fixed camera with a green light on it, which streams back into dispatch and the Arctic, and we can go from there. 8 DFR drone plus docking stations and 3 detect and avoid radars. So in the end, St. Francis would have $10,989 as their budgeting. It would be an increase to your current JLEC funding. For comparison, one drone dock is going to, for up here, is $50,000 a year. One camera is $3,000 per camera. And we're looking, if you want to give me a second here, excuse the photos of the kids. Of course, when I disconnect from my desktop, everything goes haywire. Let me go back. I'm gonna have to look at something real quick. I want to say there's 5 cameras in St. Francis. Please don't quote me on this. I will get the chief that 5, I think, is the accurate. So if you wanted to go with if we just talked about the price of the drone plus the 5 cameras, you're well in excess of $65,000 annually. With the benefit coming that the rest of the county it's spread out. The cost of it's really spread out. Yeah, I don't want to try to sell you how much it's going to cost, but the benefit for the price is there.
So it's a rolling 5 years, you say?
Yes.
So every year this price would be recalculated?
No. So what we would do is, well, kind of. It would be close to that. Right now, Blaine and Coon Rapids keep fighting for the top spot of calls for service. So they're more likely to get bigger changes in their costs than you are to yours. I think your calls for service over the last 5 years has been pretty steady. Am I right? You haven't seen a wild jump of,
Consistently rising, but no.
but you're consistently at the same percentage with the JLEC funding, right? You haven't gone up or down. So the price for the program is the same. So it's 17725 for every year from 3 to 10.
So it's locked in for 10.
That's locked in for 10 years, for those 7 years, 8 years. And the first 2 years are taken on by the sheriff's office and dispatch. So, that price won't go up unless as part of the JLIC, some of the things that have to happen, we're going to go in front of the county board next month and we're going to have this conversation, and hopefully get their blessing to move forward with this pilot program within the first 2 years. Obviously, part of this contract is going to be, there is a non-appropriations cost. If we lose funding completely and we are unable to pay for it, we have that exit clause. The county attorney's been working with Flock really hard on that to make sure that the county's not on the hook for $14 million.
Right.
So we have that protection that if for some reason the state of Minnesota said, from here on out, drones and ALPR and all this other stuff is now illegal. It's illegal for us to fund it. We can't fund it. We need to get out of this contract. So we have those exit clauses. In those first 2 years, it's going to really be our proof of concept. I can talk theory up here all day long. I can show you, I can point you to other agencies of why it's a good idea. But until we have cameras deployed and drones deployed and the technology deployed, I really can't give you the true metrics of how this will benefit all of the citizens of Anoka County. If we determine that we need to up whatever technology we have and take it back. So I'm going to go in front of the county. They're going to approve or decline the first 2-year project. Our goal is for year 3 to have JLIC take it on as one of their expenses, just like the Mobile Field Force paging app and PSCS systems and all that kind of stuff. Any change to the project from there would have to be brought to JLIC and request in the same way the new CAD systems and everything else will. So this contract, if we did nothing else and kept it status quo for 10 years, that's what it's going to cost. If we decide that we want to upgrade drones to the next greatest thing where guys can fly off them, I don't know what they're going to come up with in the next 5 years. I would never thought they would be talking about DFR when I started. I just was happy to have a cell phone that worked. But that's all going to go through the JLIC whole committee, and all the people that are associated with that will be a part of that conversation. So it's not the sheriff's office going to be running it. It will be a JPA with amongst the county and the JLIC. So
the one complaint that I'm gonna get, because I already get complaints for agency assists, which
Yep.
whatever. Everybody helps each other. I get it. Oak Grove's not paying for this. Why are they going to Oak Grove?
they are.
That's what they're gonna say though.
Yep. And you can defer them to the sheriff's office contract with those contract cities, and
Part of it.
the increase will be in their contract.
Okay.
That's just the way it's going to be. And it's part of the JLIC. So,
And then fire, it says is 143,000. What is that?
so the Fire Protection Council, so we presented in front of the Cleos, and we got a unanimous vote of support for the program, obviously non-binding, from the Anoka County Chiefs of Police Association. Our chief deputy went and presented in front of the Anoka County Fire Protection Council, and they too unanimously voted in favor of this, knowing that all of the different benefits they're going to have for their agency.
So based on our percentage of what we pay them with their formula, that
Yeah.
potentially be affected by.
But
that.
it's all into that
Yeah.
super formula with JLIC.
I've been kind of a part of that. I haven't taken the lead lately, but I understand their formula too. So, okay.
I learned about the super formula about 6 months ago. And I was like, they actually call it that? Yeah, that's actually what's
So there will be a breakout portion of the 143,000 that goes to the Rum River Fire District,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That was my only other question. Sarah, Kevin?
Now, as far as the dollars and cents, what if, again, this is your initial presentation, say Columbia Heights, well, say St. Francis doesn't want or cannot get involved in that. Do you just pull back the size of your network then and adjust your things accordingly, or you need it's all in or all or nothing?
This is, without speaking for the sheriff, he is very, he has shown that this really needs to be a countywide initiative. That way we're serving as many of the residents the same as we can. So if one city decides to drop out, I can't tell you how that plays out. we would like to be able to serve all
Sure.
11 agencies equally. And so I don't have a solid answer for you on that.
The question hasn't come up at all, though. I mean,
They've,
even some of the remote cities, I mean, Franny's out here, but
all the PDs or the city councils that I've talked to, it's come up once, and the one chief flat out said, this is something we need. And I'm not trying to put this on anything on you, but they said this is something that we're going to need, and it will show in the first 2 years of why we need it.
Sure.
And I've always said since the beginning of this project was, if we can't justify the need for this program based on the calls for service in the first 2 years, then we don't deserve it. And I truly believe that implementing this is going to be a game changer in law enforcement and public safety as a whole, and it will save lives. That's just my God's honest opinion. I've seen many cities running this. Currently, Minnetonka is running it. Rochester just signed on, not to Flock, but to a different company. So did Brooklyn Park. They're paying a lot more, and in my opinion, paying for less quality of product. And we're doing this as fiscally responsible as possible to still be able to provide the services to the citizens.
all right, thank you.
Because I'm gonna kick it back to you a minute here, Chief. I just
Yeah,
want to hear your,
Mayor Council, I think
Yeah.
tonight, I think we're, in the grand scheme of things, I think we're looking for, from all the cities, just a general support to move forward with this pilot program. Like the lieutenant said, we're not gonna know how this project really performs until we put it into use. And I think until we put it in use countywide, we're not gonna see that full effect. So I think a general support, which is pretty much all we're seeking tonight, to move forward with this pilot, to let the sheriff's office fund this thing for a little bit, get it off the ground, see what it can do. And then we can have those further, when it comes to budgeting, we can have those further discussions. And we'll also have those further discussions at the JLAC level. And I know at one time, there was even talk of maybe putting together some type of resolution with all the cities and jurisdictions in the county. That's kind of a general resolution of support to move forward with this pilot as well. I haven't heard anything more on that, but again, right now, it's we're kind of at that point. Let's see what this thing can do. And I think if it performs the way it's supposed to perform, and it's performed for other cities, I think we're gonna see a lot more benefits than that they're gonna far away the complaints and things we might see. But even when we first got our drone and former Mayor Feldman, I made the point to him because he didn't want to spend $18,000 on a drone. But I told him if we can find one missing person, which we found multiple since then, that kind of makes it worth it. So I think that's what it's all about: saving lives and getting and keeping first responders safe and keeping cities safe. And we're in the technology era, and here we are. So,
And if I may add, there are mandated annual audits of this stuff. It's not free reign for everybody. We do have the sheriff's office currently contracts with an outside agency to come through and audit our body camera use, our drone use, and this will all fall under the same umbrella. It'll still be audited, and it's the safeguards are there to make sure we're not.
How do you audit it if it's gone in 30 days?
It's all tracked. It's still tracked. I'm serious. Every search is tracked. Everything. The image is what's deleted.
Okay.
All of your actions stay. So that's the big thing is, if it's not evidence, if it's evidence, obviously we're gonna save that for
Right.
court. But if it's non-evidentiary, it's deleted within 30 days, and everything is tracked in the system. So those are some of the safeguards, and I can tell you that the main deputy that is working on this right now, he's revoked command staff level access to several people in the office because they decided that they didn't want to finish the training. Guess what? They got their training done and they got their access back. But we're not gonna put this into a position where we're gonna lose it because people want to be dumb.
Right.
So the audits and the control will be there. So is there any other questions that I can answer for anybody?
Not from
I
you.
think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
So, well, my thoughts on it are, I think it's an awesome program. I think the intentions listed here are great. Obviously I always worry about surveillance type stuff because, you know, you don't want to live in demolition man times. I don't know if anybody's seen. Quick math, according to our 2024 data from the web, we have 3,048 homes. Now granted, this is not the cost per household because every household is different based on the valuation. But if you were to average that out for every household for the number given, it's roughly $3.61 per household. My only question again comes from, and I love the idea of it. I think though too, when we're facing the budgetary stuff that we're dealing with, that is the biggest question for me is, yes, it's only this or it's only that, but then, you know, how do you justify that? Because that'll obviously be an increase in the levy because it's money going out that we don't already have. So that's what I would put out there.
Sir?
I echo what Joe says too. I think it is a very, very good and will be very effective and would be benefit for us to have. We just have to be able to find where we can find the money for it. That's our biggest hurdle.
Kevin? Like everything, you know, where does money come from? You know, would it save in law enforcement overtime? I mean, the chief could tell us what we currently pay for overtime now. Those are all potential savings there with something this, but I agree with technology. It sounds like it, you know, is the latest and greatest thing. Again, where does the money come from? I like Joe, the way he broke it down to, you know, $3 a house, and our drone, you sold it at not sold it, but the information was if we could save one or two people from harm, $18,000 pretty small price to pay, but that was our one-time investment. This is a $11,000 a year investment per se, but I guess I would look at it as far as, I don't want to put the burden on the chief, but from a law enforcement standpoint, where would it save our department money that could help offset this cost? Is what I would look at down the road as far as, if in the past, we've lost an officer. And it'd be nice to have so many, patrol officers, et cetera. Would this do, AI, is this taking the place of an officer at some point? You know?
I don't think we're there yet. I don't see this replacing.
And I'm not promoting that, I was just saying.
But, again, I think the budgets are definitely something we're gonna have to look at, I agree. Yeah. There's a will, there's a way, and hopefully we can find it, and because I firmly believe in this program as well, and, we'll, certainly do what we can to make this, an impact to the people out there.
And that goes with fire as well. I mean, again, not to put the burden on you to say, can you crunch the numbers and find some? I mean, the Rum River Fire District will have to do the same thing, you know, if this is something they want to be a part of, they've got to. And the citizens, I mean, we go a third fire, a third police, and a third public. We may have something here, enough ingredients to make it work, you know, and that's all I'm getting at.
We do have a little time to take a pretty good serious look at this. It's not gonna happen overnight. That's the time to crunch some numbers and then figure this out.
Do you know when they were gonna meet with fire as well? I should have asked them that as far as.
I don't know if they presented fire council.
Yes, I was there. Yes.
So I don't know if any further meetings arranged with them.
All right.
It wasn't as in-depth, but they did at our last Anoka Fire Protection Council meeting, and they did an overview and overwhelming.
And our fire chief, or Rum River chief was there as well with you?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
cool.
And overall, the sentiment was yes.
And something too that I was gonna discuss with the road program too, that quick number, average, whatever, again, that's not necessarily to your home or whatever. But that doesn't include businesses. That's just a number of households. It'll probably be less than that per unit. So just to throw that out there for information. Nonetheless, it is more. So something we need to consider.
My only thoughts on it are simply, back in my public safety days, I was on the cutting edge of it. A little bit of stuff like this, and we solved a case based on card access into a dormitory. I'll be honest with you, it was a little uncomfortable. Just because it felt like we were, how do I want to say it, spying or whatever else, but it did solve the case. So, I mean, I know it works. I I'm reassured pretty much by the safeguards he's been talking about, and unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, most of the public already, everybody's got a Ring cam, or everybody's got cameras up. I'm not saying it's for the better, but it's become a part of our lives already in a lot of ways, so.
And there are, difference between obviously us and the public is they don't have the protection to be in place to keep us from violating people's rights and breaking laws and things like that. And that's why, as you mentioned, there's only 11 ways we can fly a drone right now with us. And we need to mark them every time we fly them. And we get audited on that, and we provide to the BCA every single year why we flew a drone and flew one on which stage, especially with which case number. They are watching us very closely, not that they want us to screw up, but when we do screw up, they let us know. And whether it's the agency, an operator, whoever. Same thing with these cameras. I mean, there's a ton of protections in place. People have already been dinged, employees have already been dinged for not doing what they're supposed to be doing, whether it's training or whatever. So it's not go out there and do whatever you want. I can assure you in a couple of years that we've had our drone, we have not flew that thing illegally yet because we monitor it pretty close, and same thing's going to go for this stuff. So I'm not too worried about the technology side of it.
So I don't know, just to summarize, overall, I guess I'm in favor of it, and I think that's what I'm hearing from everybody here,
Yep.
so. I think we can move on to the next item on the agenda, the county Everbridge. Chief?
So Mayor and Council, as you're aware, the city, we subscribed with Nixle Everbridge, which is now Everbridge. They changed platforms and a few years ago, but we subscribed with them in 2017. Currently, we have about 1,400 people that receive text messages, emails, or landline calls. I'm sorry, that's just emails and text messages. We have about 1,300 that get them by landline. So we pay about $4,400 a year for that subscription. And we send out, I averaged it out over the last 3 years. It's about a dozen notifications a year on average, sometimes more, sometimes less. They could be for anything, to do with, we sent them out for gas leaks. We sent them out for vehicle crashes, which is probably one of the more common ones, road closures, things like that. The county, we recently learned, Anoka County Emergency Communications Center, they recently signed a 3-year contract with now Everbridge. They use this as a platform for their iPause alerts, which is more of the map-based, geo-based notifications for more serious types of events. This is not to replace iPause, but this is another benefit of the Everbridge. They can now send out these community type notifications as well. Pretty much the same type of notifications we send out. If we need anything more serious, like a shelter in place or something like that, we would notify dispatch already right now. Say, hey, we need an iPause for shelter in place. This might be, or an Amber Alert or something like that. But this does not replace that, but this is just kind of an addition to that. So I think I just want to have a discussion tonight on, and knowing that Central Communication now has this capability. I've spoke to the director myself, and they, I just concerned about, okay, what happens in 3 years when do you cancel this contract? Now, do we have to go through all this setup with Nixle and everything on it? Because I don't want to be without a messaging service. They assured me that they don't want to be put in that situation either, so they have no desire. They've done extensive research on getting to this point, and they have no desire to start over either. So I kind of took that as, all right, we're in the same boat. Nobody wants to start over. Everybody knows they need this in some fashion. So I'm trusting in that director, that they're confident that they're not going to, after 3 years, they're going to renew that contract. So just a discussion tonight again, if any, do we want to just keep doing what we're doing? Do we want to use this kind of in addition to what we're doing and maintain our subscription with Nixle Everbridge? And I'm going to keep referring to Nixle Everbridge because we started with Nixle, it's now Everbridge. So, or do we want to move to the county notification entirely? And then again, there's no cost to this county notification system aside from obviously county taxes that they use to fund this thing. But I guess again, we pay about $4,400 a year to do this. So, and it looks like they said they would have the same
So essentially we cancel and we'd save 44.
So, yeah, just gonna lead my question right away is, I guess I don't know enough about how Nixle currently works. I mean, so right now, if you have something, is it you who's putting Nixle, Kate, or?
There's a handful of us that have the capability to hop online. Basically, it's a website we would go to and do we want to send out an advisory or an alert based on severity of the incident? And we would type in the message and send it out. So there's a handful of us.
So you'd go and log into this website instead. And
We would not, we would, so that's the only change. We would have to notify dispatch, say, hey, we need an alert for this type of situation in this area. And then they would do themselves to do that.
And do you feel that they would be, so it's, do you think as quick, I guess?
You know, that was my
Is there a way?
original concerns. I'm not sure. They assured me that, you know, when talking to them that it would get done fairly rapidly. Depending on time of day, how many dispatchers
Yeah.
they have on,
what you got going on?
you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, getting an advisory out when there's not much going on versus 3 o'clock in the afternoon could be a little different. There could be some delay there. But you know, sometimes there's a little bit delay on our end too. You know, if we're out and about, we get this call and then I'm not gonna, you know, send a message out on my phone while I'm driving. So it's usually go back to the office, send the alert. So,
Would everybody have to resubscribe then?
yes. Yeah,
That
so
could be a
that's another
hurdle.
thing we would have to do. It's up to the cities to notify their residents of this program.
So you'd send a Nixle one out before you cancel it saying, hey, we're gonna switch.
We would have to do some type of kind of a phase.
I would.
Yeah, so we would have to send out, probably on our Facebook website, even send out messages saying, hey, you know, the city's, you know, I think this is a, whatever, we want to do that, but.
And
We would
Mayor,
have to-
Mayor and Council, part of the timing would be if we know this is the direction we want to go, we would take opportunities at Pioneer Days information, night to night. We could hand out stuff at farmers market. So advising people to move over or sign up for the county. So some of this is timing as well. The sooner we know the direction that we're gonna go, we can start pushing out that education to have people move over, but.
Yeah, because we have already renewed annually for our subscription now, so it'd probably be either at end of this year or early 27 moves. So like Kate said, we have plenty of time to make that.
Along your same question that Joe kind of asked earlier, so the county seems committed to the program and it's probably going to stay in. Is this something where the county says it's free now and then down the line they start charging the cities? Have they talked about that at all?
You
You're already
know,
paying for it though.
Well,
True. Again, I'm not sure on that.
Do the county taxes.
You know, the director, Carrie Morrissey, she's pretty open and honest. Whenever I've spoken to her or heard her speak at meetings and things like that, I don't know that she would hide something like that. I kind of trust her on that, so I trust and I would sure hope that if she, you know, if there was any indication that some costs were gonna be passed on these communities in the future, I would have thought they would have said something like that, because obviously if they're pushing this out to try to get some of these communities on board here, so.
And is there like a box you check for, I want county alerts for the whole county? Not that I would want that, but
Yeah.
some people may or may not.
From what I gather right now, it seems like, at least for the time being, they're sending, whenever they send out a notification, everybody subscribes gonna get that notification, so you could get
Columbia
advisories
Heights
for Andover
For Liam
or
in.
whatever. I know when they had a big gas leak down in Andover here, late last year. And they had, I think, 40-some thousand subscribers at that point, different cities, they all got them, so
Those
it's
are
not
smart.
map based. I don't know if they might have that capability to kind of narrow it down, see where you want to get these alerts from, maybe. But-
kind of the impression I got from their presentation, but I don't know if I
Yeah, and that
got it
could be-
right either, so.
I would think they would probably want to, I don't want to be getting alerts for
Right.
Columbia Heights and for Lee and stuff like that.
So just, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot. I mean, overall, your feelings towards it is,
You know, and I've even spoken to Dave, the fire chief, about this, and you know, in some sense, it could be a little easier. I mean, honestly, you know, just making that phone call to dispatch and say, hey, we need this, and trusting them to do that versus getting to my computer or Dave getting to his computer and taking the time and sitting down and sending these alerts out. And then you have to cancel them too. You have to remember to cancel them. So I mean, it's not that it's a ton labor intensive kind of work. But at the same time, I don't think we're gonna lose any of that, you know, time or urgency of getting these messages out. I think if anything, it could save save us some time and allow us to keep doing other things. Even if it's a serious car crash, whatever it may be, you know, if a sergeant's out there, we do have one sergeant that sends these up as well. And, I even heard from him that, you know, it's one of those things when you're on a serious car crash and now you gotta worry about going back to your squad computer and doing a Nix alert. Well, they'd rather be directing and doing things out there. So, that's one opinion that came from a street supervisor as well. So, yeah, it could be, could make our life a little easier in a sense.
And it's $4,400 less you gotta find for the new program if we do move forward with
I
it.
was gonna say, that's part of her funding right there possibly. And I think it looks like, I don't think that Anoka County is just gonna bail on it. I think they're pretty invested in it. They're gonna set this up. And, you know, with everything, you know, changes happen, so our residents will get used to that now they have to, especially that we have a longer period of time. So it's not like we've had this rolled out in 3 months. So we get enough time to kind of get them introduced to the program so that they know that, hey, at this point, we're gonna be switching over and you're gonna have to re-enlist. And it's kind of like any other subscription, you have to re-up it every once in a while anyway, so I think as long as we have some time to present it to them so they know that change is gonna happen. And like I said, hopefully, you know, there's an option of, because there are some nosy people who want to know everything that's going on everywhere, but there's other people who, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't want my next my new alert system going off because there's something going on in that facility.
And I will email the director tomorrow and ask at least them 2 questions about
Okay.
the possibility of future fees coming back to the cities and that as
Mhm.
well as if you can narrow it down, see where. Pass that back on to you guys.
Thank you.
What was Anoka using before this, chief, before they signed on with ECC?
iPause. So they were using iPause for pretty much all their alerts that went out, and the cities were kind of, you know, dependent upon themselves to send out the community stuff for the less urgent type of notifications.
Hmm.
And they still will be using iPause, so.
That's
And then the
good.
1,400 people that are already on board, I want to know. Nixel, is there an out on that? Do we have to give them 30 days or are we contractually obligated?
I'll have to look into that clause and it's, again, it's an annual subscription. It's not like we're locked in for 3 or 5
Sure.
years, so it should be fine, but I will look.
I think it's worth exploring.
I think we're all on the same page. We'll just wait to hear back from you, but I think the general consensus is let's pursue it, so. Thank you. Anybody else, anything for this agenda item? No.
No.
On to the digital sign. Is it Kate or Paul or who is it? Paul?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mayor and council, for you tonight is a discussion about the community park sign. Public Works, cleans these once a year. We pressure wash them, clean them up, make them look, better. One of the things we discovered on this particular one last fall was the actual sign that says, "Welcome to the City of St. Francis," started to split. So I started looking into it, talked to Kate about it. The sign was put up in 2010. So it's nearing the end of its life, from the different frosts, and it's 2 separate poles. If you've ever looked at that sign, when the poles heave differently, it's actually starting to look kind of funny. It'll be interesting this spring. We have it basically band-aided together right now. It's in pretty tough shape. A couple other things about the sign, the actual digital sign itself is a 25mm resolution. Recommended was 10, and it's very old technology at this point. One of the other things we've recently discovered is that it can only be connected to by one computer, Kate. So if that person isn't on their computer, we each have our own specific laptops. Nobody can change what's on the sign. It's very old technology.
Brilliant.
What I did is I reached out to Think Science, just give me some numbers. I told them 50 to 150. Show me what you got. That's what you have in front of you tonight. Discussion tonight is just move forward with the project. Is the location still acceptable? Design, size, and funding sources for it, if you want to move forward with it. So Be happy to answer any questions, both Kate and I.
Anybody want to go first?
First,
Go ahead, Kevin.
you kind of got, you went lickety split over this. Let's go backwards in dollars. We know that the message board is a message board. But what's the dollars and cents then, or options of dollars and cents?
So when you go through it in the actual packet that I sent through it, I think he had 3 options for me.
Very bottom of our stuff that's got it
There we go.
spelled out there.
What page? Was it
Yeah,
66?
so like
57?
Yeah, 53, there's options 1, 2,
1, 2,
3.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And so I went through and matched the prices to them. And they talk about low and high. What they're
Mhm.
talking about is a shorter sign or a taller sign. Option 1 was 112, 2 was 107. Option 2 is 107. Option 3 with just the post, the sign, and a little bit of brick at the bottom was 100,000. Just a post and a 5x10 sign was $96,000. These prices have not gone down at all. They've actually gone up a fair amount. And in the back, it actually shows, he gave me prices, the actual, just the signs, and then the projects as well. So I know it's a lot to throw at council and the mayor this evening, but definitely want to get a direction on what we should do. We went from bulking the sign together to now I literally drilled through it and we are literally lacing it with steel. If it gets any worse, I'm gonna tell them to take it
I
out.
got some black duct tape in my car.
How come, this hasn't come up in the CIP in the last 4 to 5 years? I know it's out there every day. Everybody sees it. Why hasn't that been on our?
Excellent. Don't have an answer for that. I
That
should.
was- That was my question right away as well, Kevin.
Well, the first thing I guess I would say, we got a lot bigger fish to fry here, but I would say liquor store money would be the first thing I would go to as far as where it comes from. I'd also maybe cut back a little bit on, not to say it, but the Chamber of Commerce, we had 15,000 towards fireworks. You know, we were benevolent to a point as a city, but does this send the right message, so to speak? Do we need something big or little, or how, it does look like the focal point as far as Highway 47, but we have this nice city hall here as well. And we got a lot of reception from a sign just across the street that we paid $235 for. Could that be the message board as well? I mean, people are coming through here, through Round Lake Boulevard. I'm throwing those up there right now, but I guess I would say liquor store, instead of us taking the 60K for a year and put it towards a sign. I mean, that's a community involvement situation.
That's counterproductive to the levy though. Right? Yeah, because then the taxpayers will be paying an extra 60 to cover that 60 we get from the.
True.
Mayor and council, we do have funds in the liquor store that are not allocated that could.
Sure.
Keep the 60 coming.
I didn't really study as far as what my flavors of, you know, the colors and choices, so, but that's the first part I was thinking about. I'll let everybody else speak in.
So Mayor and Council, just go back one step to answer Mr. Robinson's question.
Mr. Robinson.
That is one of the,
Whoa.
that is one of the things that we are catching as we're working through things.
Sure.
You got miss on the CIP. And
Well, I wasn't shooting a dart at you, don't get me
No,
wrong.
not at all. But the thing is, like you said, we're in the process of trying to, it just should have been caught.
It's housekeeping, it's
It
just
is,
another one.
but it
of
should have
those
been caught earlier.
Yeah.
So
things. No, I wasn't taking a shot. Please don't take it that way,
Nope, not at all.
Mr.
Carpenter.
Tara, do you wanna weigh in?
Well, since you and Jen are so great at grants, are there any grants? I
Mayor
went,
Council, I knew that question was gonna come up tonight.
I'm like,
I cannot find
okay,
it.
all right, well, you know, I know you
I've
guys are,
granted- I've granted the-
I figured you were, but I thought, yeah, is there anything possibly out there for something?
Good, excellent question.
But yeah, it's, you know, clearly we have. I mean. It's hard because you don't really know what impact that sign has. How many people, I mean, really read it, how many,
I agree. I don't
it's
know.
really hard because I don't feel like. I hear people going, oh, I saw that on the sign. You know, I like the idea of how of, you know, the welcome to St. Francis, that's all nice and good, but I just don't know if we really need that digital sign. I just can't say that.
I agree.
I feel like it's that impactful. I could be completely wrong.
Council, some of that is hard because we don't know if it's just the lack of the quality of the sign too.
Sure.
That's true too, yes.
We are limited on the size and the amount. There's so many parameters, because the technology is so old. What was it, 2012? 10
So-
technology
Mhm.
in a digital sign, so it is hard to know its impact. Are people seeing it, but are people missing it because we don't have the ability to put what we can on the sign? So
That's true too.
it really is. Do we want to replace the sign? Or do we not? It's kind of where we're sitting.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, is it's hard to know what.
I think too, if
I
you talk
mean,
about
I
moving
think
the
people,
sign.
I think people, when they are coming to the farmer's market, they probably see things on there because they're stationary.
Well, they're squinting.
Yeah, and that's true too, with the size and the, you know, lighting on it, I'm sure it makes it harder to read too, but those are just kind of, you know, it's hard. Cause I'm sure there are people who see it.
Mayor and Council, if I may,
Mhm.
there's actually some numbers in there. You are correct. The sign now, we're lucky to see what degree, so I go by that every day,
Mhm,
twice a day at least.
mhm.
And you do have to pause, and you don't wanna run into anybody in front of you or behind you or cause an accident, but yes, it is
Appreciate that.
difficult to see right now, and that is one of the things that the salesman talked about as well. It's so old that it's not, probably you have about a 3-second window to fix. And what you're shooting for is between a 5 and a 7-second window, so.
And the other thing is, I mean, we're going to be redoing Highway 47. It's gonna look a little bit different. How will that impact the traffic and how they would see
Mayor
that
and Council, I
sign?
actually thought about that, and with a highway diet,
Mhm.
road diet that they're talking about, it's going to slow down. And it would greatly increase the time that you'd have to see the sign. So yes, it did look at that as well.
Those are kind of some of my thoughts on this
Mhm.
initially.
Good thoughts, Joe.
I think the greatest impact would be things like the farmer's market or Pioneer Days when you have a sign up there, it's right at the location where it's at. for
Mhm.
one. I think if you talk about moving the sign, not a bad idea, but that comes at different expenses with electricity and everything else having to be run to it. Whether or not you need it, that's debatable, I guess, for anybody to say whether or not we need it. The fact that the liquor store would be covering it is good, and I don't know if this is such a good suggestion even, but I have to put it out there for, the late Steve Feldman. Can we advertise for the liquor store on it, or should we?
It's a city department.
So that would
So
work.
we could put
Yeah.
stuff for a
If we
liquor
have-
store on there?
I mean, that's possible to get more revenue or reimburse the revenue, whether or not that's something we should do. Again, I know where we're at with some of that, but, yeah, I think the farmer's market would probably benefit the most from it, but I think if it's liquor store funds and there's a sufficient fund in there, that's kind of what that fund's for in a sense. It's not a cost of the levy, not that you couldn't say that money could be spent elsewhere. But replacing it with something as long as it's, do you have a version? Like my question, I guess, too, is the versions of them, the 3 versions. That would be, we're dealing with the support of it right now. That's an issue, right? Some of these brick obviously would be probably more structurally sound rather than a pole that could rust through or whatnot. I don't know if you have something or anything to say on the maintenance of it. If it was lower, I would think would be cheaper or better too. But then I don't know if you're getting the visibility.
Sure, so, right, so Mayor and Council, right now, what happened was when this sign was designed, it's 2 separate pillars that come up.
Yeah.
If you remember, and it's got the cement in between,
Mhm.
that's what's happening, is things are shifting, it's causing problems, it's damaging it. This would be a mono sign, it'd be one, it'd be.
Right.
You've seen.
Okay, yeah.
You bet, as you go down 65, you see them 47. The only thing, I would say, if we were gonna go in the direction, my thought was because that is a community park and there's a lot of people there, would be if we were to go high enough where at least it couldn't people couldn't touch it or reach the actual screen itself would be my recommendation.
Good idea.
Anything else, Joe?
Not at this time.
My thoughts echo pretty much all of yours. Two, three things really popped into my mind. When we rented that cheap sign across the street, we got more attention with that cheap sign than I guarantee that other sign has.
Well, I think it was the topic that addressed
True, I would agree.
increased taxes and water rates
Right.
are a big topic here. So I think it's more the subject matter that really.
Got one other quick question, and I don't know that we have an answer to it, and I know it has limited capabilities, but what are we currently posting on the sign right now? Council meetings, what else?
We have events, council meetings,
Temperature,
yeah, the time and temperature.
temp, yeah,
correct?
date, yeah.
But again, some of that is, we don't have. the
Very
capacity
limited.
to do. So it is your basics, meetings. Holidays, events, yeah.
So if I may, Mayor and Council, so if you upgrade, you go to the newer technology, now you can have pictures on, it's got some examples in there, you know, the farmer's market color, a lot more advertising with the newer style sign than what we have right
Well, and on page 41 gives you, the image of,
Yes.
the current sign in a city council meeting, but we don't have the ability to put even the date or the time or, so it's,
Very limited.
and with the height, we would have to be a little bit careful because we do have structures with community parks. We'd have to make sure we're above some of those structures. So to not get too low that it's not being seen because of
Right.
like the garbage and different things that are as we pass the park, so.
Yes, the city council meeting, and then the next screen is
Yeah.
the date and the time, so you're already driving by the time that next screen flashes.
You're-
The way it's
You're
set up.
back.
You're hoping to catch it again, and say, what date is that, for the meeting?
My other thoughts are, I'm not totally against the sign. It's not like I'm totally against it, but I really, like Sarah, I really question the value of it. I mean, we're talking $100,000 here. That's the average of $100,000. And I mean, I know, I can't believe I'm going to say this of all people, but I can't help but thinking, geez, we hire somebody to be an online presence, posting stuff on where everybody is on these for $50,000. I recognize that that'd be an annual charge, but I'm just saying, what, is the sign really that effective versus being a more out, posting more stuff and being more of an online presence? I don't know.
What do you mean by online presence?
Social media,
Social media,
Instagram, TikTok,
correct.
Facebook.
Mayor and council, there's a lot of cities that don't have digital. So,
So the welcome to City of St. Francis, or City of St. Francis welcomes you. Is that still gonna stay there?
That's structurally sound. at
Or
the sign.
that's just, so that's gonna
Gotta
be
go.
gone? So we will not have a welcome to St. Francis on that.
So, Mayor and Council, that's what's broken down. So if
Right.
you look at the first page.
Yep.
Yep, where it shows the City of St. Francis, welcome
Mm-hmm.
to, this is an old pic. The one that's
Right.
out there now is broken in half.
Yeah.
So it should be removed.
but if you look at the examples, options 1 through 4, they do place a slab in there that still says that. So it's not being lost in a new
Right.
design,
Right.
it's
Correct.
just. not-
Right, but if we,
Sure.
Does that
Take it
cost
out.
include all the structures that go along with?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. So the prices that I just ran through, that's the sign, the structure,
okay.
Yeah,
correct.
so yeah, on page 53, it would have, the top bar, the digital
Mhm.
bar, the St.
And then-
Francis welcomes you, and then the posting.
Right.
So,
Correct.
Yeah.
Further south on 47, do we have a welcome to St. Francis sign further south?
No, so the only other two signs that we have are on the north side of town on 47. And that 241st and 47 that says welcome to St. Francis. The one here in Community Park, and then the one down, it's actually in Oak Grove.
Yeah.
Only Boulevard.
Yeah, on Rolling
Neutral
Boulevard,
zone.
There it says welcome to St. Francis. Those are the only three.
There's
That's the
no
one that you
Grove
mow
council
in
member
nice
that's up in
circumference.
arms
That's
about
right.
it.
So just so I'm clear on this, so you can't chop the two top poles off and the sign is that bad that the sign, that the concrete sign can't stay? We can't take the poles down and leave the concrete and the pillars?
Concrete's
The concrete
That's
is-
junk.
It's fractured.
Yeah,
Okay.
he said there's a huge crack. This is an old picture, so. we
And I got
don't
duct
see
tape in the
new-
car.
Yeah, Joe has duct tape. in the car.
Is it something where we could put a steel sign over the front of it?
It's a possibility.
What was the purpose of that?
But if the concrete is bad, that's not gonna fix, we'd still have to replace the concrete.
But it's probably got rebar and stuff in it, though. It could have some webbing inside where it's not gonna,
Yeah.
it's possible. But yeah, they can make an anodized aluminum something or other and some vinyl dye. Or some type of.
But
Something
You,
reflective for the
it's a
drivers.
cost, and what is the value?
And if that's gonna cost $50,000 compared to $100,000 for a
And then you're
sign, it
using the
doesn't.
digital
that-
just to say welcome. Is that whatever we accomplishing?
we need a field trip to go to the sign.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm just not crazy about spending $100,000 on this. I'm just not. I don't think there's enough value. I'm being confessed that some of it's me, but people tease me about this all the time. I see a sign 3 times and I just kind of start zoning them out. I do. And I recognize we can get a racier one that grabs my attention, but
But for how long is it gonna grab your attention before you're like, oh, that's nice?
is that gonna bring people to city council meetings?
Oh, no.
Kate, I got a question. What did we spend on the liquor store sign 6 years ago? Didn't we upgrade that?
We did.
with-
Mayor and
Yes.
council,
No,
no,
we
we
did not.
actually.
That's why I threw that in
we
about Feldman.
Tabled all of the electronic signs,
Mhm.
and even the bottle shop, it's running the same technology,
Correct.
which the only reason it hasn't completely failed yet is because it's attached to the building, but they're struggling with the technology.
I thought when Mayor Feldman was here that they came before us and we spent some money for
Oh, he
a tweak
wanted
and
it, but we
tune.
were already over
We
our
didn't
limit that we put,
approve
so
it.
we didn't go ahead with it.
Okay,
Correct. We talked about it, but we did not spend any money on technology.
okay,
That's correct. So Mayor Council, I actually talked to the salesman that worked with Steve on all of it.
Okay.
There was no upgrades, there were no changes to it.
No,
right.
we didn't.
But the bottle shop is failing in technology right
Yes.
behind this. The only thing is they're not becoming an issue by lapsing them.
And I know we get a lot. I saw some of your traffic numbers on 47 or whatever, but what was our traffic numbers right here on Bridge Street that we just did?
Joey's got the.
10,800 cars, I think.
I'd rather, if we're really good about a sign, I'd be just telling you my thoughts. I'd rather just see us put a sign on this building right here, if that's just my 2 cents.
Mayor Council, I didn't
Yep.
run it, I have it in here. It's 10-5 on 47 as well.
See, there you go. And this just brings it more home for people, city council meeting tonight. I don't know. It just seems remote and set over there. So if we're set on a sign, I'd rather see it on this building than over on 47.
Would that increase the cost because of the
If
electrical and
the sign-
whatnot?
Yes, it would. If the sign was moved, it would increase the cost because you have to move like.
The other question I would have is if we do say we say no to this sign and whatever. If we do a sign for the liquor store, which would be paid out of theirs. Because of, it's self-sustaining, the liquor store, and that would be to,
Mhm.
in theory, benefit them, which I don't know how much it would benefit them, but that's kind of why we said no last time, I think. And we kind of went over our goal to stay under with the liquor store funds last time, so. I don't know if we want that at all or not, and would that be utilized similar to, would that just be liquor store stuff, or would you try to throw some of this stuff on there or not?
I would definitely say both if we're gonna
I
do
would
that.
too. Message is a message.
Correct.
Right.
City message.
I mean, you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone if you put it there, and
Yeah.
then there'd be less cost. Granted, like what you're saying though, with the sign out front of, hey, this is City Hall and this is what we're talking about type of thing, if there is critical, like the taxes and water rates, I think the topic was more of the hitting home with people that got them here or the quality of the sign. I think it was the subject matter that really struck home for people. Cause you're digging in their pocketbooks when it comes to taxes and water rates.
And Kate, we moved a hotline from here to the liquor store, so you could have control, or somebody could have control of the sign as well, or be able to monitor what's there, or you could put a blurb.
No, so we had to move the switch and the fiber, but that doesn't have anything with the sign. That was the fiber capabilities that we
Right.
moved. You know, there's a lot, for a long time, the last liquor store manager had a sign across the street because of work on, what were they working on? They were, the work on 47 and since, and,
I don't remember what it was for.
I think COVID, he was trying different things, and it really is true that after you look at a sign for a while, you stop seeing it. So to put up a new sign would require some level of constant change or, color or. And as much as, right, we want to do as much social media and marketing and all of that, we still only have, we don't have a marketing staff. We don't have social media staff. We have a handful of us that try to put together pieces to get it out. If you were to change the signs on the bottle shop, it would be bottle shop information. People wouldn't look there for
True.
community information. If you put something in community park for the bottle shop, you might catch an ad.
Right.
But again, it's disconnected from the bottle shop. So I really don't think there is one good answer. It's spending $100,000 to either to replace our sign, and it's going to be the same people, the same information, but better. So it really is, we can use the bottle shop funds. We don't have to dip into building funds.
So what do you have to go through to decommission it and make it safe?
Disconnect electrical, pull the breaker. Remove everything that's in there. And that would be my next question, is if that's I would need permission from council to remove the sign after frost is up.
I'm just one vote, but my vote is
I think we decommission.
decommission it. That's my feelings, but I'll listen and defer to the rest of the council, but I just don't think there's enough gain from replacing it for $100,000. I just don't.
Do you have any idea what it cost to put it up in the first place?
I guess I would agree with the mayor as far as the decommissioning portion, but then I also try and get some pricing from a sign company for jacketing the existing concrete one. First of all, see if there's some rebar and it's actually got structure, some infrastructure on it. Otherwise, if it's gonna collapse on itself, then it's not worthwhile, but they make, the aluminum signs that are very vibrant, UV, protected to replace that St. Francis one, or at least mimic what's there. But if we could just jacket what was there already, sandwich it somehow. But yeah, 100,000, I don't see it.
Mayor Council, there would be a simple option as well. In the process of the dog park in Cywick, we've ran into an amazing, just a normal, amazing sign company that, well, you've seen Welcome to St. Francis Park, right? To Cywick Park, those signs. We could go that route. If you want a welcome sign there, and I could find prices on a reasonable welcome sign and go that route. That would be maintenance free, and we could light it up because I've got electricity there. So
I
so thought that there's
like
another
that
option as well.
idea.
I would agree with
like to
Sarah.
see the
I would agree with
price
Sarah.
on that.
I kind of like exploring that option.
It wouldn't be the same as the one on 9 though, then you're talking about a different design and.
So the one on 9 is concrete and the one on 47 to the north is concrete. It would be a different design than that.
Well, the technology is that they can make the signs look almost like duplicate what we have here. I mean, as far as the same shape and whatnot, it'd be nice to have some uniformity here, not one part of town looks like this and.
The one in
How-
Oak
how
Grove's
old
on
are the
private
other
land, so you have
signs, I
no.
guess?
No, it's a
Yeah.
neutral. I checked that out once
Is it?
before. I think it
So
is.
are
Well,
they
it's
gonna
donated, but I was told it was on
Are we
private
looking
land. 'cause
at replacing them
Someday.
anytime soon?
So
Someday every sign will need to be,
Right, but I mean, do we have a idea of when those might need to?
there's such a different sign.
Right, they
The
are
other
very
signs are
different.
just a concrete block
Mm-hmm.
with the name, and chiseled out of it. And I'm assuming they probably have a lot more rebar on the inside of them, but they're quite a bit bigger.
I was told, Councilmember West wasn't a fan in Oak Grove and said, why is it there? Because technically it's in Oak Grove, the sign. Headed north on 9 there, and they had no, he was, for whatever reason, he was complaining about it.
Get a burn saddle.
But they said it was on private land, so I didn't know that That was neutral.
I think the ponds owns that, if it's not, it's outside the right of way, but it's the ponds situation.
Okay. Must've been because he was mad. I know he wanted to put his clubhouse.
I think he's mad all the time.
So we pretty much, I mean, are we pretty much all in favor of decommissioning the current one and exploring?
The lit portion of it, yes, but I'd like to see us try and duplicate or somehow encompass what the design that's already there and just so it's equal to the one on the east side of town, but
I can understand that sentiment.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Well, I think that's a lot of those, a lot of cities that I've seen have the style of sign that's kind of here with the digital sign without the digital. So it's solid concrete right up to
Mhm.
where it can't necessarily crack in the middle from shifting. I mean, maybe it could, I guess, still, but less likely, I would think, is this one solid piece.
You
But
giving you any direction here, kind of? Yes, no, kind of?
Mayor and Council, it sounds like take the sign down, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
the lit
The
portion,
digital.
can we
part,
give
yeah.
that direction or has it got to be
Well,
official?
actually,
Oh.
okay, now I got a difference of opinion here, so. The portion that's broken is the
Is the
actual
bottom,
City of St. Francis, that's
Right.
actually broken in half.
right.
And the top part, personally, I think the sign has seen a better day. I think the whole thing needs to come down,
Take the digital sign down and then.
digital and the rest of it. because-
the block as well, the block, the.
Needs to come
the
down.
He's
piers
saying
are-
the block is the main thing, that, I mean, the digital part is behind time, but the structure itself is what's wrong.
Oh, it was a white portion. I thought you were talking about what's fractured.
It's
This
broken.
part is.
Right, but the brick on either side, the pillars.
I'll take a little bit closer look at it, I can't answer to the
Okay.
brick itself.
We can do that otherwise.
But it doesn't do any good to start
If
taking
you
it
just got
down.
the
if
pillars
you're-
there, what would you do?
You know, you could put a metal sign.
Oh, on top of
Replace
it?
a metal sign
That's what you're saying.
over the top, or take the broken concrete sign down and put a new metal one between the two pillars. I don't know.
But how is that gonna, I mean, is a metal sign gonna look okay? That's the other thing is,
You could have it mimic this. I don't know why you could not.
I would only say metal and reflectivity on drivers. That would be my only concern on the highway.
You can use flat.
Yeah.
I don't. Do you want to take a closer look and
well,
come
yeah,
back
you
to us? I
probably should
mean-
look at the pillars to make sure they are okay or not.
Sounds good, Mr. Adams. I'll go take a look.
Do you wanna do a field trip for that?
Hell
too,
yeah.
Kevin? Let's all go. Let's-
Well, and Mayor and Council, again, I would ask, is if we're just going to do a welcome, is this the right place or is that something we would put at the public works site? Because this is again behind dumpsters and the structures for community park. So
Point.
Yeah.
you take that digital off, nobody is going to see some of this.
Yeah.
So I think this, if we're taking this down, this needs to go. But what do we put back and to what extent? So, and where,
Mhm.
to make sure it's
Salvage yard
actually
as
seen.
possible, so it really kind of, no, I'm just kidding. I'm only joking.
I agree, Kate. I think that's good feedback. I think get rid of the whole thing, and if we're gonna put a new one up, move it down more by the Public Works PD, something like that. I agree.
Everything must go.
And once we have the new Highway 47
Yeah.
in place, we'll have different land and intersections as well. So it may
Right.
be worth waiting until that highway project is done to do it.
Yeah.
Because with the change in the roundabout at that intersection,
Correct.
there's a little bit different of a swoop with Public Works. So that would be a staff recommendation, but we are gonna then be without a sign for a couple of years, so.
Yeah, It's not the end of the world, I don't think.
There's a nice green sign on 47. You're entering St. Francis.
Arlington.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
it does.
right, it does.
Does.
Anybody, anything else, Kevin or Sarah?
No, sir.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Mr. Carpenter.
That's a good. We should call it.
On to our next item, home serve. I believe this is a Kate one.
No,
Oh,
this is
Paul again.
too.
Mr. Carpenter.
So, Mayor and Council, before you this evening is the home service line warranty program. I presented this to council 3 years ago now. Learned a lot more than I know a lot more now than I did 3 years ago. I've been working with Ashley, the one who runs this program. They're into several cities. We've talked Grand Rapids, Big Lake. What they do, let me back up. this is a way to ensure the homeowner's line from the water main or the sewer main to their house. Now, one of the biggest things that we have troubles with in St. Francis is very few homeowners know that they own that line. This program does a couple of different things. It helps me get the word out. They would agree to do it 3 times a year. They do it in a way, they educate the people that the resident owns that line and that line can be insured. The reason why I'm bringing it back to council, we had 2 incidences this summer, both with water line issues, one on Arrowhead and one in Butterfield, that if they would have had this program, it would have saved me about 35 hours of staff time. Because what the resident doesn't understand is that they have to pay for this. That's their expense. That's not the city's expense. So it's very difficult to walk them through that, and they become quite upset about it. Where this program would help me educate the public, as well as if they were interested in insuring their lines, if that line that was insured went down, we'd work directly with them. In fact, we probably wouldn't even know about it. They could just work with this company and they'd find people to fix it for them. So that's what this is all about. The discussion tonight is, if council's okay with me moving forward, I would run this through legal. I'd make sure that it vets out well, and then sign up the program. I would work with Ashley as to how we want to word this and how the program's going to roll out. So we do have say in that. And the thing they changed is they went from, I think it was from $5,000 to $12,000 an incident now. So just to give you an idea. So the one on Butterfield was $8,000 to fix that water line. Now they were lucky. The main was on their side of the street. Now, if you have to go under the street, that's another probably $5,000 or $6,000 to repair it. So the other thing is the city actually receives 10% royalty on it. So as they insure people throughout the city, we get a royalty on it. So yeah, that's all I have. It's pretty well laid out. There's 3 different ways, 3 different lines can be insured. Your exterior sewer, your exterior water, and then your internal if you want to inside the house. I'm not quite sure.
How much of the sewer is the homeowner's responsibility?
Pardon me?
How much of the sewer is the home?
From the sewer main to their house.
Okay. Same deal, pretty much.
Same deal. Basically the same as from the stop to the house with the water.
Got any other questions?
I got lots of questions,
So do
but
I.
that's, so home serve, the idea of insurance is great. And my experience is completely different. I worked for a company that had the contract for HVAC. The only thing, and I don't think there's necessarily an issue to educate people, it's great. We get a royalty. I have several questions on the royalties. Dealing with home serve in the HVAC industry, they cover up to a certain amount, blah, blah, unless it's, for instance, I was in Forest Lake, I had an 11-year-old York furnace. It had an ECM motor, which is DC or more high efficiency motor, that went out. They're going to run anywhere probably from $600 to $800. They deem this thing unrepairable. That drives me nuts because this customer is paying for something to take care of. They didn't cover it. So basically an 11-year-old furnace is shot. That's not great customer service. They also use contractors. There's nobody in home. Like that's the one thing CenterPoint used to use when I worked for them, that, oh, we're actually CenterPoint employees. Somehow that's a big deal, which I kind of see their angle, working with home serve, because they would have other companies go out to different areas, so to speak. You're supposed to have your area, but I would follow behind these other companies, which I don't know why they were ever dispatched out there anyway, when it's our area. So I question how great the service is going to be, and how you can necessarily do it. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, and this is not really tied to the city other than the royalty part of it, which is good. But just putting that out there, as long as they have quality work and quality contractors coming out, which again can vary, you know, I don't see an issue with that. The royalty aspect of it, so the company I worked for, they would not get paid out forever. My question is, how do you track the royalties and know necessarily who signed up for it, who's not? We get a list or something every.
I Excellent question. So I haven't looked into that part of it yet. I haven't gone, that's something that needs to be vetted out. I just wanted to see, start with mayor and council. If we can move forward from there, that would be a question I would ask, the royalty part of it. I looked at it from a standpoint, I actually didn't even consider the royalty. I looked more of a standpoint from an education standpoint. It would, forgive me, but it would be a lot of free mailings for the city on
Right.
education because they're extremely expensive for me to send things out, and it would help me educate the public on what the residents own. And then if they wanted to use this, they'd have an ability to pay for it, instead of again, get rid of some of the prizes. But you can insure yourself in the poorhouse, and I'm aware of that.
Where would the
However,
royalties go? That would
again,
have to go to the water city water fund or the sewer fund or
My-
what?
my assumption on this, because it's something outside of the enterprise, it would probably be the general fund.
You hinted at it. My first reaction was, I'm just being honest here. I don't like the 10% royalty. I don't. I recognize it's money, but I think if we're trying to help our citizens, it just, and in full disclosure, I'd want the citizens to know it's a 10%. I'd rather see no royalty, to be honest with you, and that just them pick up all the cost. I don't like another hidden fee. Here's a customer who's gonna get a
Hidden fee.
$8,000 sewer bill, and then they're gonna find out, oh, geez, $800, is this came from the city? Oh.
No, that's.
Yes, sir.
I'm
We'll be the
confused on
marketing
that.
agent for them, and we'll get a lousy 10%. My feelings exactly the last time this was promoted. Nothing against Paul or the company, but we'll be the marketing agent. Kate's phone is gonna ring like crazy, or Paul's phone's gonna ring like crazy, because our name is gonna be on that leaflet. And if things go awry, we're gonna be in the phone call chain, and it's not worth the 10%. I thought if it was that good a product, they could go out and market themselves, go out and canvas door to door to the folks in town. We can still send out the message of what their responsibility is and is not, as far as the city goes, but we're buying into them we're helping them sell
Right.
in the long run.
They're paying 10% to use our name. essentially.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that means we've endorsed it, and then we're gonna be in the phone chain as far as,
Well, that's kind of my concern with the quality of contractor that goes out, or you have these other companies like, well, I won't say any names, but the company I work for would go out and I'd actually be falling behind another company that's somewhere else. And they said, oh, they walked in, they said it was the gas valve was bad, and then they left. Well, they're gonna bill that to Home Serve, that company, which is crappy for the contractors. They literally, I mean, they showed up, sure, but they walked in and left, and Home Serve does it really weird with their contractors, but like you get paid so much for a furnace call no matter what. And then if it's over that, you're eating those costs. So the idea is that they pay the HVAC company, this is HVAC only, not necessarily related to this, but they pay, so much per call. And the hope is that you get enough flame sensors where you walk in, clean them out, don't spend money on parts coming out. So you're getting more than what you're spending is the hope. And the law of averages is kind of what keeps those companies afloat that they contract with. But seeing how they've handled a few, I don't hold any ill will. They canceled the contract with two companies that I've worked for in the past, that was their primary business. And that's those companies' own faults for using that as their primary source of income, is, putting all your eggs in one basket. But I just wonder, I get what you're saying, Kevin. I think the 10% is not bad, but I do wonder with our name on it, how much that's going to affect our staff. I mean, that's
personally think a lot.
definitely a good point. But we're going to be first call, no doubt. And then if they come out and say, well, this isn't covered, like the furnace issue, and I don't know I seen what they say that is covered here, which I don't think's bad if they do that, because blower motors are covered under their plan. And I think even the cost of because they don't, I don't know how much they tell the customer, but they say up to a certain amount is covered. And then after that, you got to pay the contractor, so to speak, which CenterPoint, pretty much if it's covered for the most part. If your furnace is 23 years old or 25 years old, they may say it's not worth fixing for us, whatever. That is a possibility that happens with other companies that do these type of insurance plans. And there's tons of home warranty plans out there that I'm not a fan of at all. We did some work for other ones too, and there's always a trip charge, and then they don't cover nothing, and not a fan of a lot of those home warranty type companies. But it's just a different dynamic where if something's supposed to be covered and then you're saying, well, it over exceeds the cost or whatever, that's my fear with these guys. And then how does that blow back on the city too with our name attached? And that was kind of my concern with bringing up that whole story about the 11-year-old furnace, which is just crazy to me. But That's what I dealt with them, and so I can see that 10% royalty, so to speak. I mean, is that, would that 10% royalty be with the sign up cost, or is that perpetual? To where as long as they have it, you know, they pay in, I don't know. I don't know, well, what's the cost to the customer? Does it even say?
Base one was
Yeah.
$6.99.
So yeah, so they pay,
69 cents.
right,
to have your name
69
on
cents.
the literature.
Yeah, for each customer. Yeah, I don't know if that number would amount to it necessarily. Over several years, it could help and offset some things, but
I think if the product's good enough to stand alone, they could come in town and they could be at our Pioneer Days. You don't have a booth there. This is what we do, you know? If it's a
True.
stand, you know, as good as it's supposed to be on by its own merit.
I like the education piece of it, but why do they want our name on it too, I guess is the question. I mean, that's a good point, because you could do mailings and they don't have, I don't know, we would put out stuff, like at one point we were handing out stuff to try to further, you know, business and whatnot, when I was working for the HVAC company. But
I found it interesting in all their verbiage here too. They've got down for each one of the price points. They've got down $6.99 a month initially. Okay, what happens next year? What's the initially mean? I'm not,
yeah, they vary their cost depending on your coverage. I mean, if you have everything covered here, you're looking at, you know, 11, 11 and 7. So
Yep.
$30 a month, roughly $29 a month, which we get $3 a month, you know, from each person, which could, if that's perpetual, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand if that's perpetual, and it could add up if they kind of lock down the area, but you'd have to have a lot of people signing up for it to benefit us. And that's a good point. I love the education piece of it, and that they would do that. And I think more people do need to be educated, because I know how dumb I was when I bought a house and how much I didn't know, that I quickly learned quite a bit.
I feel bad. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm sure you get to bear the brunt of it, but I just, to me, there's just too much here that I don't like overall. It's,
Paul, don't you educate people now at Pioneer Days? You have charts and talk about stuff. You've been talking about sewer and water. for this-
We do. We would talk about,
They're full of
talk about
pump.
the flushable wipes. We talk about all that. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're there for National Night Out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. We're there. We're always around. Absolutely. Okay. So, yep, no problem.
I don't know. Sarah, how do you feel about it? I don't know.
It's hard because it's hard to know. I mean, I don't have a good feeling on how many people we actually think would actually sign up for it. I mean, maybe that's an education piece we can look at to see at Pioneer Days. Maybe we see if the city went with this and we show them what the program would look like, how many people, I mean, because it has to benefit to have enough people sign up too. And if not enough people don't sign up, are they gonna want to stick with us even? Because is it worth it for one person or 5 people? I mean, how many people
What's
makes
the
it
minimum?
worth it to them to even, or are they just like, oh, we'll just be here? And then what if no one signs up? Then that's kind of where
I put it kind of in the car warranty thing. I recognize that there's a few people who a car warranty maybe helps them, but the vast majority it doesn't. It ends up costing them more over the lifespan. And so
So
I-
my other question is if we as a city don't buy into this home service line warranty program, is there any type of, I mean, can a homeowner do it independently, sign up for something like this?
Absolutely.
Okay, because then, I mean, at least then we're telling them, hey, there is this program, we're not gonna attach our city name to it, but here's this program, because it might benefit. I don't know how that, I'm assuming we probably aren't gonna get any kickbacks because we're, as a city, aren't working with them, but it's still a program that's available to people if they choose
yeah,
to
I think we
use
have
it,
to be
right?
careful though endorsing any company. So we could just say there are.
Right, that's what
companies
I'm
out there,
saying.
yeah.
Just let them know that there are companies that if, this cost is going to be yours and there are companies out there available if you want to look into it.
Well, that's kind of the biggest question I have is why is their name on their mailing? Why don't they just mail it out?
That's what I
That's,
thought.
Is
yeah, that's what I'm
interesting.
saying, is they could go after
And it
them.
will create more work for us here as an administration. I think the administrative people will be
Yeah.
answering a lot of phones.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Cause I think.
Mayor and council, perfect. I've got my answer.
All
That's, yep, thank you very much.
Sorry to beat it to death.
No, that's all right. That's okay. It's all good.
Thanks, Paul.
You bet. Thank you.
On,
Mr. Carpenter.
on to our last agenda item, the budget. Comprehensive plan, excuse me.
Yeah.
Jeepers.
So.
Met council buddies.
Yeah,
Before you is the initial discussion on the comprehensive plan. So what we have started to do is organize our scope of work. As you know, every 10 years, we're gonna do this. We are kicking off our 2050. Attached is the up to cost that we've received from HKGI and Hawkinson would be roughly about 110,000, will be reimbursed 40,000 by Met Council. This is the scope based on what's attached, so I did include the pages from HKGI of the proposed scope. And then I also included, just so you understand what the document requires of us, the local handbook pages and all of these final pages is what we have to put in that document and answer to. As much of this is done and can move forward, there are a lot of calculations and different pieces that can also affect our budget. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to in regards to what would impact this budget. So, you know, keeping the timeline as short as possible, that is something that we can do to try to minimize our costs. Not moving our MUSA lines. So in our 2040, we put MUSA lines out there. We don't have to move those lines. By moving those lines, we would create new calculations. We'd basically be saying now we're looking to expand our service this much further. And I think there's a piece there where we haven't caught up to the 2040. To keep our lines where they're at for 2050 is probably very unexpected. If we start moving those lines, though, we will increase our costs. Some impact changes, if we create a plan that's not consistent or conforming, we will need to justify that with Met Council, that could increase our costs. If we add elements, she talked about some cities can kind of go off on, you know, we really want to add, what's a good example, 100 more trees per development, and you really start expanding on things that aren't required in our checklist. That would be something by adding elements that will increase our costs. We are aware of a handful of properties that have to be looked at for zoning. We have about 5 or 6 that we want to really hone in on and go, is this right? Is this right for the future? That is included in this cost, but that is really part of the discussion that we'll be having with creating a comp plan. But if we want to make significant changes to our future land use costs, if we want to, you know, 10 years ago, we redid our zoning districts. We moved some substantial pieces around. That would increase those costs. We're looking at doing a lot of our meetings as joint meetings because we need the EDA, the Park Commission and the Planning Commission. So having joint meetings with everybody, so we don't have consultants in here 2 or 3 times a month trying to get answered. As much as we can, we are going to try to do that to reduce those costs. These are the costs with HKGI and Hawkinson. There is a value to staying with them as they do have all of the tables and all of the mapping and a lot of this data already. If we are to move to a new consultants, we would be looking at increasing those costs. Community engagement, you know, it says in here roughly 25 to 30% of our budget is really that community engagement. So it is getting out surveys, it is being at events, it is getting those public meetings. Staff will try to do as much of that as we can and lead as much of that as we can to reduce costs. But it is something that the more we put out, if we want to do 5 surveys instead of 2, right, then we're increasing costs. If we stick to that budget, or if the more staff can try to help with on the backside, if we've got HKGI creating the flyer, but staff are standing at night to night. Right, the more we keep the consultants out, we keep these costs lower. So a lot of this up to will really be will be a moving needle based on some of these things. But if we look to make significant changes, we need to have HKGI give us a cost for that scope. Because this scope is to really stay kind of where we're at. So what I need from you guys tonight is, are there any specific issues we want to look at with our comp plan? Anything we should have HKGI scope out as far as a cost to add or increase? If there's any engagement steps beyond the obvious, right? We're gonna do Facebook, we're gonna do the newsletter, we're gonna probably at least one survey. So some of that is there something else? We'll do the events. And then just the comments, concerns, thoughts. As we launch into this, you know, what does staff need to know now so we can plan for it, we can figure out a cost for it, we can expand on something. And just that first general discussion, and then the summer is when we're. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'll just start with one general one. Kate, is there anything big that you anticipate? I recognize that we can weigh in on this, but is there anything big that needs to be on our radar? Because other than that, it's just pretty much 2040 updated. I'm just gonna call it, correct?
Correct. So, Mayor Council, so 10 years ago, we really took the old comp plan, which had a lot of information that wasn't used, kind of ripped it in half and started over. And we consolidated zoning districts, which made us consolidate ordinances, and it got rated, added up. We really don't have the need to do any of that.
So we can just resubmit the other one with a,
There's 2 new sections that they've added that have some calculations and some engineering. But a lot of it should be about the community engagement, not about rewriting really with this one. So there's nothing we're anticipating unless there's something council wants to see us change. So
how does 47 affect it? Or does it at all, really?
it doesn't at all.
Okay, cool.
Sarah, Kevin?
You took the words out of my mouth. I'll just say 2040 revisited. I still remember that one family has a large tract of ag land that was very adamant about, you get us up. We are not purple anymore. We want to be back to green or whatever it was. And God bless them, you know? And like the previous administration said, sometimes the generations change, money's changed, needs change. And not money changes, but their ideals change, and you know, it doesn't become the heritage is lost over time, but it'll take its course that way. But I saw the budget here too as well, and I really agree. Whatever we can do minimal wise, our focus is, like you said, a tighter belt this year, or as tight a belt as we can get. And then what 47 is, you know, should take everyone's energy possible that wants to contribute. I mean, to look 10 years into the future and say, I think we really want to do this. I understand all that, but we're past, we're not teenagers anymore. We're in our late 50s here, so to speak. So there's only so much land to be moved around, puzzle pieces. And it will probably take another 10 years before those pieces come back into play there when we would have something to work with. So.
Well, Mayor and Council, with that last comp plan, what we found was when we weren't even recognizing what the land actually was being used for. So there were people who felt very comfortable in an ag status, but it was somebody's residential house that had nothing to do with agriculture. So it was when we
Better
started
taxes, I
taking
bet.
some of those ag designations away that they
Better
really
taxes.
got kind of upset, not understanding
Go
that
figure.
it didn't affect anything because they were using it as a house.
That's true. There was,
Yeah, there was some confusion.
Plant a couple beads.
Yeah.
And then we had zoning, we had, I think, 4 other zoning districts that we were keeping track of. And some of them would have just a use difference, or it was, we had over kind of regulated and made our own mess with zoning.
yeah.
So I just, about every parcel in this city, I think, got a letter that year. But he sat there with me for hours stuffing envelopes. So we don't foresee any of that with this plan. It should literally be our regulatory update. except for a few parcels that we're really gonna need to go. There's, the great one would be up 47 north of the school building. This is a great example. Are we gonna hold out for an industrial business park? Should it just be housing and move on, right? And it's interesting because what we're building today was the plan of, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Steve's rolling right
And
now.
when we're looking at what 2050 is, we're kind of setting a plan that the next generation gets to build and take on. So our projects today are all part of a comp plan that was 10, 20 years ago. So we really are thinking the future, right? And trying to come up with the best plan we can with what we have today. Some cities try to get really creative. Some cities fight really hard, or we could fight for changes. We're gonna pay for that and legal costs. So it's just how in depth do we wanna go? How much do we wanna push back, or just take our plan and move it forward? Because we haven't had a significant change that would require us to really do with our parcels. So.
With that process then, Kate, do you see yourself being underneath that 85 too, or, I mean, saving considerable amount of money? As far as consulting fees and whatnot?
Mayor, council, I don't know what considerable would be.
Okay, a third. Would you see, could you lob a third off of there if we're not making that much of moving pieces around that big a deal?
2/3.
And I'm not gonna hold you to it. Let me rephrase that. Is it gonna be less than the 85 too? I'll just
Is
leave
there a
it.
chance it could be less than that?
I think if we can get all of the groups, kind of, if we're in agreement, we keep it moving, we don't make big changes. We have the ability to do that, but that is definitely not a staff control. That is a council, planning commission, park commission, EDA control. So if collectively as a group,
Get in the same room at
you
one time.
guys, this is what your vision is and we can move this along, but if we're not agreeing with things or we're delaying things, that cost, right? It's an up to until we blow our own budget because we're not giving HKGI and.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah, yeah, if we fight stuff, we're gonna blow our own budget, so.
To be clear, though, I'm just speaking for myself here. I mean, it isn't just even about saving money for me. It's just, I don't see the reason to do any drastic changes. So it isn't even just about saving money. I don't know
Yeah, we
what.
haven't changed enough in the last 10
Correct.
years to
Correct.
Yeah, I don't.
warrant it.
Okay,
I
and
agree.
that was some of the direction, and then we'll lock in the scope, and then we kick this off this summer, so.
Anybody, anything else?
I was gonna get you guys coffee and Diet Coke, but we don't need it now.
Meeting, work session adjourned at 7:46 PM.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Jody.
Great job, staff.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
That's
We're keeping her.